All right, let's pray that this doesn't die on me again. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to my top 10 reads of 2025. So, sorry that this didn't come out earlier. I wanted it to come out earlier, but technical difficulties. My camera kept freezing, and if it freezes again, I'm going to lose my head. I'm trying not to curse as much as I used to. That's my New Year's resolution. Not curse as much. But let's go ahead and jump right into the honorary mentions, and then I'll get to the top 10. So, with honorary mentions, I would put Dragonbone Chair as one of them. And that being because I loved this book, but at the same time, there were a couple qualms I had, and that is, it took a little while to click. And, of course, it being a chonker of a book didn't help, but I needed time to click with the characters, and then, of course, the climax was phenomenal. And I think I spent like 700 or 800 pages, like waiting for the moment where it would click. And then it clicked, and it was like, oh, it was glorious. And so, of course, with everything that came after, and now I'm reading the second book, Stone of Farewell, it's a lot easier to read, I don't want to say quicker, but I feel the movement in the story, so I like it a lot more now. And it's just such a wonderful story that, with all the inspirations it's created, with everything like Gurm, specifically Song of Ice and Fire, and all the inspirations I can see so directly in A Song of Ice and Fire from Tad Williams. I wonder how much of our modern fantasy landscape would be what it is today without this trilogy, and finding all these roots for a lot of modern fantasy is so fascinating and so interesting that I have such a good time with that. And then, of course, the cast of characters is so amazing. Joshua, Simon, Miriamel are all such delightful characters and so nuanced and well crafted. I think Simon is a great coming of age character too. Like, probably one of the best. Now, I don't think I'd put him as far as Fit Chivalry, but I'd probably put him as a solid second in terms of, this is how amazingly written he is as a coming of age story. And I really, really, really enjoy that. I think it's such a wonderful, ah, it's so good. And then, of course, getting to see where it's going now, while I'm currently reading book two, is so amazing. That's the thing. Another thing, I needed to see where the story would go after book one before I decided whether or not I loved it a lot. So I do think that it was a little weighed down by that aspect. But now that that's out of the way, I would say this is definitely an honorary mention. I just think that I had such a stacked year, I couldn't, I couldn't put it in the top 10. Now for the other honorary mention, and this is a little bit of a weird one. I just don't want to have to rank it. That is The Wandering Inn. So I adore this series. It has this mix of cozy fantasy with this insanely huge and epic world. The lore and the history of this world is unlike anything I've ever seen, and it's so fascinatingly complex and intriguing, to the point where I have such a great time with it. And when I'm listening to the audiobooks, which is how I caught up, it just is so wonderful. And I have such a great time with that cast of characters. They are so well written. And considering the amount of time you spend with these characters, you start to really love them more and more and more, to the point where you get frustrated with them at times, but you understand them so well, but they can be frustrating. And it's just so well crafted that I cannot help but absolutely adore it. And the only reason I don't want to rank it is because, number one, it has a lot more time than everybody else. Like, it's 15 million words, mind you. And I got up to, I want to say, barely a quarter of that. And that was like, uh, a third of the way through volume 7 out of 10, and it's ongoing. So, an amazing series, but I just don't know how to rank it, because it's amazing, but it's amazing in a different way from anything else. It's not something that I'd say is life-changing for me. I just love the writing. I love the characters. I think the cast is phenomenal. I just really enjoy it. And I don't have much more to say on it than that. So, that's all I have for the honorary mentions. And let's go ahead and jump into the top 10. So, with number 10 is The Way of Edan by Philip Chase. And, man, this was such an interesting book for me to read. I have been following Philip for many, many years on social media, on YouTube especially, since, God, I don't even remember when, but I've been following him for quite a while, and watching his videos was so inspiring. And then, of course, his book was so amazing. I mean, it's not something that's felt life-changing, but it gives me this amazing feeling of contentedness that I rarely get from books. Like, it's one of these books where when I sit down to read it, I feel so satisfied with everything that I'm being given that I could probably stop reading in a page or two and be completely happy finishing the book. And I don't know why. It's just that the process of things like this, The Way of Edan, Lord of the Rings, and Count of Monte Cristo, and I think those are really the only books I can put in this category. But, like, I read a page, I love the prose so much and the way the story is told so much that I can just stop and be I could probably read one page a day and be happy with myself for the whole day. And I don't know why, but I just love it. And this fit that category. I really enjoyed it. And the world, the way it's such a love letter to story. And that concept of, here are stories that forge us, that make us. And I loved that concept of, this is how the world works based on story. And then the magic. The basis of the magic is the origin stories for certain races and species or things. And I think that's so fascinating, because it tells you that the creativity, the magic of this world is sourced from what made you, what crafted you, and the stories which are told about your making, about your existence and the way it came to be. I absolutely love that premise. I think it's so deeply intriguing, and I cannot wait to see where the story goes. The only reason I haven't continued is because, number one, I thought that I was going to get the book 2 of the Broken Binding edition. I didn't realize it was going to take so long. The height of naivete, I realized that. But then the second reason was like, okay, I'll wait for the audiobook. And then I didn't realize that the audiobook had come out because I was so busy. And then I'm like, oh, I'll get to it eventually. And then it's like, okay. And then I wanted to read Beowulf before reading the second book. I was like, okay, let's read Beowulf. And I still haven't read Beowulf. But even though I make a bunch of excuses for not having read book 2, I do think this is an amazing book and an amazing read, to the point that it has earned its spot in my top 10. Now, for number 9, it is a book that I treasure very deeply because my friend Chance Dillon gave it to me, and he wrote it. And yeah, I have a bias. I do have a bias. And I will admit that very bluntly to you. I love this book. And, oh, man. The longer I get away from this book, the more I just love everything that Chance did. And the way you can watch his writing improve as the story grows on is just so amazing, you know? And I could ramble on and on, but I loved the way he dealt with addiction and the way he developed his characters and the politicking across this story was just so good. And I'm due for a reread soon because book 2 is coming out, and I'm so super duper excited for it to come out. And I'm so proud of Chance for being able to write this chonker of a book. I mean, 530 pages is nothing to scoff at. And I mean, like, we as readers can go, oh, it's only 500 pages. I will do that, by the way. I will say it's only 500 pages, because that's my average. Other people who read normal books will go, Alex, 500 pages is not a normal length for a book or a novel. That's like 300 pages. And I say, really? I always thought like 200 to 300 pages was like a novella. That wasn't a joke, by the way. I actually had that conversation once. But 500 pages, and not only to make 500 pages, but quality 500 pages, is nothing to scoff at. Not even a little bit. Because, I mean, let's take an average. If about 400 words were on each page, and we have 530 pages, that's a lot of words, and each one is put there with meticulous craft and meticulous care. And I love it. I think it's so well done, especially the way he made a climax. I mean, honestly, if Chance pulls this off again, and I absolutely know he can do it, his climaxes will deserve to earn him the nickname Syndrome. You know what I mean? Like, there is Brandon Sanderson and the Sanderlanche, the Rockio's climaxes, Jenny Wirtz's climaxes. Like, you know, those kinds of climaxes that so perfectly bring everything together for that end and just make you so hyped up for the next book. Chance pulled it off. He pulled off one of those climaxes, you know? The one where he's, like, slowly setting things up and then, boom! Let's go, baby! And runs you into the wall with just amazing payoff after payoff after payoff after payoff. The third part of this book was unput-downable. Like, I actually could not put it down. And I love and adore the way this story played out, and I'm so excited for book 2, because you know what's insane? You know how awesome this cover looks? You know how awesome it looks? Yeah, just take a look at that. You know how awesome it looks? Then make it better. Isn't that crazy? His second cover is even better. I think that's crazy. And, I mean, not only that, but I also am deeply appreciative of the fact that this is a copy that Chance took the time to sign and write a note to me specifically and sent to me. And so especially this book holds a very special place in my heart. And I mean, I love it so much. Like, the more I sit on it, the more I love this book. And man, I am so excited for book 2 and to see where Chance's writing journey goes, because he blew me away with this one. And I know, like, I had my qualms, and I still do have those qualms, but, you know, rose-tinted glasses, the farther I get away, the more I love it. It's just really, it's one of those stories, you know. I read the book, and I came out really enjoying it. But the longer I've sat on it, the more I've loved it. Like, really, it's one of the stories I can put down, and then I love it more. And I think that's a testament to a great story, in my opinion. A great story is a book that you either love it or you like it on the first read, and then you put it down. And then when you pick it back up again, you go, dang, I loved that. Like, the more I've sat on it, the better it got. Like, every day I think on Realm of the Elderlings, the better it gets. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. It should be crazy to you, because it's crazy to me. And, I mean, just such an outstanding job to Chance Dillon. And then, of course, you know who else is next. I mean, this was actually really tough. I kind of flip-flopped between which one of these stories I wanted to put here. Actually, no. No. Okay, this is how it is. I said it before. I'm not going to let my mood change it right now. Discovery by J.A.J. Minton. Oh my god, this book was amazing. And actually, this is another thing. The reason why these bottom 3 books are... Not these bottom 3. These are top of the top. The tippity top, you know? But the reason these 3 books are on the lower end is just because they're book 1s. And I need to see how things pay out. That's just how I am. I like to see how things pay out before I say, oh, that was, yes. Anyways, Discovery by J.A.J. Minton. Oh my god, I can't even tell you about what happens in this book, because I feel like if I say anything, it would be a spoiler. But before I say anything else, I do want to say, first off, thank you so much to J.A.J. Minton. Or, I say J.A.J. Minton. I know them all. Or, well, I know their names, so I'll just say them. John, Amy, and Jacob Minton. All 3 of you. Thank you so much for this book. This was easily one of the best reads I had that year. This is one of those reads that I just had such a good time with that I couldn't put it down at all. You know, I loved it to pieces, and I actually read this when I had the flu. And it is also now the only book I have ever read from beginning to end in ebook format. So think about that. All 3, I want the Minton family to think about that. I hate reading ebooks. This is the only book I've ever willingly read from beginning to end in ebook format. Because it was that good. That was how good this book was. And I hate ebooks. Like, that is not a joke. I loathe reading ebooks. I just cannot stand it. But even so, I love this book that much. That is how much I enjoyed this book. And being able to just... I finished it in 2-3 days. It was so amazing. Each part just felt like it came together so perfectly and so wonderfully and made it so well done that I couldn't put it down. And especially the way it has this appeal to every culture, especially Brazil. That one, they went like to every continent, and I loved it so much. But there is a segment where we're in Brazil, and like there are a bunch of reasons why I love that segment. If I say any of those words, I'll probably get, like, I feel like this video could get taken down if I talk about Saros. Just, if you know the name, Saros. My goat. Like, oh, and I didn't even talk about this. This book made me laugh so hard. I don't laugh when I'm reading. I don't laugh when I'm watching TV. I rarely laugh when I'm, like, watching or experiencing media. I just don't do it. This time, I was cackling. Oh my god. I could not do it. Or I could not stop. I could not stop laughing. Because they just had such great humor. I mean, it's bizarre and so freaking funny. And, oh, I especially love the Brazilian segment, because, you know what's actually very interesting? They did very well in capturing the way that Brazilians interact with pop culture. It's a fascinating thing if you don't know about it. It's something I really do think is an interesting thing to study. But I just think it's so fascinating. And of course, since I have a lot of family from Brazil, I just really connected to it, and I loved it so much. I adored this entire book. And maybe there was like one segment where I had a hard time picking it up, but even then I was like, nah, it's still perfect. It's really, absolutely one of the best books that I have ever read. And by the way, I don't think it was Sorrow that I was thinking of. I really don't think it was Sorrow I was thinking of, but the grandfather, you know who I'm talking about if you've read the book. He's fucking hilarious. Oh my god, I could not stop laughing. I know like some of you are probably thinking, why? Well, what's it about? I can't tell you that. I honest to God cannot tell you that. It's like a cosmic horror epic that's so cool. Oh, post-apocalypse too. It's so good. Like literally, these are two of my favorite subgenres of fantasy that I don't get often. I want them. I want them more. I love post-apocalypse and I love cosmic horror. And to merge the two of them, oh yes, baby! Oh, it was so good. It just, I cannot wait for book 2. I cannot wait for book 2. Ah, man, like so good. Like all these books are so good. And then of course, number 4 is The Dragon Reborn. Actually, no. I take it back. Number 4 is The Beartown. There you go. There's your spoiler for book 4. Number 4 is Beartown. But seriously, Beartown touched something in me, and but like I'm talking about these 3 books were books I loved. Like these top 3 books, I loved. I loved every single one of them. Discovery, Tears of the Fallen, Way of a Dan. I loved them all. Beartown wasn't so much as love per se. Did I just say number 4? I meant that's 10, 9, 8, 7. Haha. Number 7. Beartown I loved, but I didn't love. It's not that I didn't enjoy reading it. It was that I hated reading it, and it was amazing. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Alex, the hell are you on about? What do you mean you loved it, but you didn't love it, and you hated it? You know exactly what kind of book I mean. It's one of those books. The ones where it's like, oh, you love these characters, don't you? You love them. You want them to succeed and have a happy, wonderful... Fuck you. That's exactly what it is, you know? It's like one of those books where it's like, ha, happy go live. Nope. Let me just torture you. Let me just tear out your heart and soul and like string you up on a wire and like crucify you and just make you suffer. And also have brilliant and wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous themes that just make you think all night and day about how the world works, how you would deal with some of these events in real life. And I mean, the prologue too is one of the first page is phenomenal, and I'll go ahead and tell it to you because you won't get it until you read the book. Late one evening toward the end of March, a teenager picked up a double-barreled shotgun, walked into the forest, put the gun to someone else's forehead, and pulled the trigger. This is the story of how we got there. And that alone hooks you and terrifies you. Because after a certain point, you know what's going to happen. You know who puts the shotgun to whose head. And you hate it. And you are repulsed. Like some of the most repulsive scenes in my entire life I have read in this book. I was repulsed. I had to put the book down. And I rarely do this, mind you, because I was so disgusted with what I read. In fact, I think I had to gloss over some of the scene because I was so viscerally disgusted. And yet this was a nigh perfect book. The way it captures the modern day, the way it captures how people interact with other people in some ways, how people idolize and vilify, and it's so important because This book is so clearly, in my opinion, an advocate for critical thinking, which I think is an important thing in the modern day political landscape, in the modern day every landscape. Critical thinking, thinking for yourself, and looking at situations and trying to judge them for what they are rather than what you want them to be is so important. And I think that this did such a brilliant and wonderful job of portraying that. It made it so relatable and heart-wrenching that you just couldn't put it down. I mean, wow. To anybody, if you don't want to read any book on this series, in this list, read Beartown. I don't care if you think everything else on this list sucks, and you'd be wrong, but read Beartown. If that is what if you ignore everything else on this list, read Beartown. It may not have been my book of the year, but it is absolutely one of the most, like, if I hadn't thought of the themes or processed these themes that I had read in Beartown beforehand, it probably would be my book of the year. If I had read this last year, it probably would be my, or sorry, not last year, 2024, it probably would be my book of the year. I didn't, so it's not my book of the year. But I still think it is a phenomenal and amazing story. So, all the same, this is an amazing book. And getting to follow this cast of characters, this town, as they turn and sway into vitriol and hatred and love and all the different emotions you can seek to find in a town, in people, in a group of people, in a community of people. Hatred, outsiders, beloved idols, and it's so well done. And I need to continue the trilogy. It just, it worries me. You know, I don't know if I can read more of the trilogy, because I've heard it gets more heart-wrenching. Anyways, book number 6, Dragon Reborn, by Robert Jordan. This one made me cry. I mean, that doesn't happen often, but oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, I love this book. This book was amazing. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. You know, I had such a great time reading this book. I remember there was a school night, a night where I had to go to classes at like 8:10. I had to be up by 7, and I just turned on the speaker, and because I was listening to the audiobook via speaker, and I just put it on my bedside and just laid there until like 2 or 3 in the morning, just listening to it and soaking it all in and just actually enjoying the story so much that I could not stop. Like, it was physically difficult for me to stop. To the point where I would take the speaker and put it in the corner of the room where I would shower and play the audiobook while I was showering. That's how amazing this book was to me. I know, that probably sounds like psychotic behavior, but that's what I would do. Like, that's how obsessed I was with this series. In fact, I'm pretty sure I spent a solid 5 months, and that was like this or The Wandering Inn, or not even 5 months, because I finished the audiobooks by that point. It's probably like 2 or 3 months, where I would have, every time I went to the shower, I'd set up the speaker in the corner of the room and go take a shower. So I could hear it while I'm taking a shower and like blast it max volume so I could hear it. But the way Rand al'Thor's character came to a head with everything in this story was so touching. And man, it was so amazing. Like, it was so good. You know, this is one of those stories that is historical, and I see why now. I loved this book to bits. This was my favorite of the 6 books that I read this year. Mind you, this was my favorite. I loved it to bits. The final battle in this book was so amazing. I could not stop listening. Matt in this book was so good. Matt Cawthon, excuse me, my goat. I see why people love him. He is the GOAT. Matt Cawthon is the GOAT. And if you disagree with me, you are wrong. Matt Cawthon is amazing. And then, of course, there's Rand al'Thor. But you know what? You know who the real Dragon Reborn is? It's Matt Cawthon. I'm not spoiling anything. If you're telling me that you didn't know that Rand al'Thor was the chosen one, then I don't know, like, what planet have you been living on? God damn it. I wish I lived on that planet. So, because you clearly are avoiding spoilers like they are the plague. But man, I loved this book, and I mean, it's the Wheel of Time. Do I have to pitch it to you? I don't think I do. I can just tell you I loved it. Amazing, phenomenal book, and I can't tell you anymore because it's book 3, and I feel like I'd spoil things. So that is it. Now, book 5. Ooh, we're getting to the good stuff. Oh, let's get to the good stuff. You ready, boys and girls? You ready? Let's get this started. Lord of Embers by Guy Gavriel Kay. Oh, this is a good book. This was such a great book. I mean, the way it handles grief, and is grief the right word? The way it handles art, and the way it handles art as a channeling of grief, is so gorgeous and beautiful and touching to the core that I found the climax to this book so touching and amazing. This, because it's a duology, but really was originally written as one book, so I think of it as one book. And it has some of the best fantasy moments. It really felt fantastical. It felt mythical, ephemeral, and how else do I describe this book other than it has one of the best climaxes in all of fiction, I dare say. And the relationship between the relationship of religion too. The relationship between a ruler and religion, the relationship between religion in general life is just so gorgeous. And there's so much to be said about what Guy Gavriel Kay has to say about the depiction of religion. How do we appeal to our religious beliefs? And it leaves it up for question, too. It's not giving you an answer. It's not trying to really guide you in a direction. It doesn't feel that way, at least. It feels like it's asking you a question and he's asking himself a question, and then providing a bunch of different opposing views as to how you would go about that. And I really, really adored that portrayal of themes, because I think it is how themes should be done. I don't always mind if it's like a bit heavy-handed, but if it's heavy-handed, you gotta agree with it more. That's the only problem. But then again, not every story is for everybody, you know? This felt like a great, slow-paced story with just the most wonderful cast of characters. It's insane that in about 800 pages in total, this is 400, the first book is 400, it just felt so well done, you know? And I enjoyed it so much. To the point where it has earned its spot. Now we're going to talk about the top 4. And the top 4 are like, this is crazy level good. Like, you think Lord of Embers, you think these books are good? They're amazing, actually. Let me correct you. They're not good. They're amazing. But these books are like tippity top, you know? Tippity top of the line, top of everything, top of the world. I actually, let me go ahead and real quickly pitch Lord of Embers to you before I move on to the next few books. Lord of Embers, it follows this man whose family died of the plague, blood plague, in the year before. And I thought that the way his grief is handled through his expression of his art and the way it doesn't just improve, but he pours emotion into it. He pours his love into it, and how it's not really about the test of. In the end, it becomes a little bit less about the result. He uses it as a mastering of his grief, and that's what I loved so much about this book. So, so amazing. Now, let's get to the next step. Oh, I hope I didn't get. So this is a former library book. That's why there's like a sticky part to it, and it's annoying the hell out of me. But I digress. This is number 4, Sordanian by L.L. Stevens. This series has become one of my favorite series in recent memory, and it is wow. Like, this book was probably the best first. Is it? Yeah, it's the best first book I've ever read. And that says a lot because I'm comparing it to Curse of the Mistwraith, mind you. Like, I would say it's even better than Curse of the Mistwraith as a first book, as a setup for other things. But Sordanian follows this prince, this god-born prince, and his name is Dorillian Sordanian. And what's so fascinating about him is these godborn people, they are obliged to the truth. They must see the world as it truly is. They can only speak the truth. They dispel untruths around them. And it's so fascinating and beautiful, but also added another layer. There are god machines that are in this world, that the gods themselves put their flesh and body into. For example, the Rill, which is the basis of their entire economy. And you know who controls the Rill? Who is supposed to be the master of the Rill? Dorillian. And his mother was killed at an early age, his father hates him, but it's the basic stuff. But then you look at the world, and the way he creates this beautiful bond with a character that is viewed as his arch enemy, and it becomes this emotional crux for the entire story. What's her name? L.L. Stevens has this beautiful way of writing optimism and beauty into a tragedy, and just so many different things right before your eyes. And it's like this brilliant political thriller that, like, I dare say the politics is on par with a Game of Thrones. And like, there's nothing more to ask for. This is a hidden gem among hidden gems, and I cannot recommend it enough. Now, after Sordanian is my new second favorite manga, maybe third. I don't know. Berserk holds a special place in my heart. Yona of the Dawn. Yona of the Dawn was such a beautiful read, and I'm not going to talk about it too much, but because, like, spoiling the first chapter is kind of... I wouldn't like to spoil the first chapter, because the first chapter is like the hook, and it's important. So, Yona is a princess who gets exiled from her kingdom, and, I mean, yeah, the basic thing. But then, what I love is her arc. The journey that she has to take in order to become a better person, to shed off the layer of naivete and learn how to become a true leader of the people. How has the world around her, when her father was the ruler, how did it conduct itself? How was the kingdom? And how can she do better? And her forming these bonds of true friendship, and it's that found family. It's so simple, yet I find myself relating to Yona a lot because just of the way she can look back on her former self, her younger self, and go, wow, what an idiot I was. And she's just such a wonderful character with so much nuance and fascination to her that I just love it. And the whole cast is so very well written that I adored this series. And it's almost done, but like we have like 2 more volumes in English to get out of the way, and then we're going to be depressed for the rest of our lives and never get another volume with the Happy Hungry Bunch. That's but I loved this manga. I don't really have much to say because, especially with manga, they tend to be so long that if I'm not talking about the ending or I'm not talking about the beginning, then I'm spoiling stuff. But now let's get to the big 2, yeah? The top 2 bad boys. And with number 2, Shadows Upon Time. Damn, this was an amazing book. I mean, wow, 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 wow. I loved this book. This one, I mean, Sun Eater I have loved ever since the beginning of 2024. Yeah, 2024, I want to say that's right. And getting to read it, finally, its finale, in the end of 2025 was, wow. That was a journey. And I didn't agree or necessarily like all the ways that it came to an end. But, that having been said, I did love Hadrian Marlowe's character arc. I love his end place. I love the way it finally came full circle. The way everything was so well done in the end. And then, of course, the way one certain relationship was developed at the very end. I didn't expect it to get that good, but Rockio did an amazing job. Now, if there's any criticism I would really have, I would say that his women characters weren't very good. Now, that is a thing that I think he can do better on, and I think that he's going to have to work on, because the next trilogy is going to have a female main character. So, that's going to be very interesting, because I do think it's going to be necessary. He's going to put him in a spot where, if the story's going to be good, he has to make a good women character. And that's what I want from him. I want to see him do that, too. So, the final book of the Sun Eater series, did it live up to the hype? Oh, yes, it did. Oh, yes, it did. It was amazing, and I loved every second of it. Like, I binge read this book. It was so phenomenal. And I can't talk about more of it without spoiling things, so that is all I have to say about Shadows Upon Time. Other than I loved it to bits. Because it's hard to talk about without spoilers, okay? Now, for my book of the year. And this one I could talk about for many hours. So I'm going to try and not make it so very long. That is the final book in the Wars of Light and Shadow, Song of the Mysteries. I already miss this cast of characters. While I would say Christopher Rockio is an amazing writer, in my opinion, he does not hold a candle to what Jenny Wirtz was able to do in this magnum opus of hers. It is absolutely stunning in every way, shape, and form. The way it brings together 11 books of conflict and narrative. I had no idea how the story was going to end at the start of this book. Really. And I went into this last book thinking to myself, how is this going to end? What's the end point here? I have no idea. And then she's just paying things off in the latter half of this book. just like payoff, 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 and this cascade of brilliance just unleashes itself upon you. And like she doesn't stop either. She just goes boom, 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 and it never feels like too much because it just feels like a natural progression of things. I was like going crazy because even on the last page, she's paying things off. She's still blowing you away on the very last page. And I mean, it was such a special journey. This was a life-changing journey. This is the definition of life-changing journey for me. And the way this story has touched my heart, like to the point where this is now my, like, it is tied for my favorite series. I cannot decide which one I like more, Realm of the Elderlings or Wars of Light and Shadow. This is nigh perfect. The scale, the scope, and the character depth, and the desire to analyze how can you make a change in yourself? What can you do about the people who don't want to change themselves? The way these ideas are explored and the way love is explored, that unrelenting love is explored, is impeccable. Just impeccable. To the point, like, I'm talking to you about this right now, and I want to reread the series. That's how crazy it is right now. And it's just so phenomenal. I mean, oh, this is my book of the year. It was either this or Peril's Gate, and Peril's Gate was close, mind you. But I think that is all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much for watching until the very end. Tell me, have you read any of these books? Will you read any of these books? Because I highly recommend every single one of them. They are all worth your time to give at least one shot. And that's what I got for you. Tell me, have you read any of them? What were your top 10 books of 2025? I'd love to hear them. Thank you all so much for watching until the very end. Thank you all so much for talking to me about books on this channel. And I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day. And I will see you all next time with a Gardens of the Moon review.